Hello, my name's Julian Edgar and I'm from the company Communication Knowhow. What I want to talk about in today's video is one of our 2 online training packages. So an online training package, it comprises a bunch of videos, 10 short videos, and for each of those videos there's an exercise book that the participant works their way through. It covers the concepts that are covered in the video, but it's also got exercises where they can demonstrate their understanding, and you'll be pleased to know it's also got the answers to those exercises so people can check that they've actually got them right. So each of those 10 units will take the participant about an hour to complete. So there's 10 hours of online training in each of the 2 training packages. And the training package that I want to talk about in today's video is the one that's aimed at staff to improve their writing skills, better productivity, quicker to get stuff done, better clarity, those sorts of things in the tasks that they're doing in their writing. They might be short pieces of writing like emails, they might be major pieces of writing like writing a report or something of that sort. So what are the 10 topics that we cover? Well, the first one is on effective sentences. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, effective sentences, what's that? Verbs and nouns and stuff like that. No, it's not. It's about how to write a sentence that gets the point across quickly and easily. And there are really 2 major things that we cover in that unit: write in short sentences and don't have more than 2 points in a sentence. And you can see that they apply in any form of business writing and irrespective of the background of the writer. Short sentences are highly effective at communicating points. The second thing that we look at is the use of active and passive voice. Now, a lot of people have come across these terms. In my experience of running groups, very few people actually understand what they mean. And if they do understand what they mean, they find it very difficult to apply in real-world writing. So what's active and passive voice? It's basically where you put things in the sentence. So you want to put whoever is responsible right up the front of the sentence. The director made the decision is in active voice. So what's passive? The decision was made by the director is passive, and another version of passive, given the very fancy word agentless passive, is that the decision was made. So we've lost the director completely. Now what does it matter? Active voice gives you shorter sentences, and remember a moment ago I said that's what we want. Active voice has greater clarity. Active voice also has responsibility built into the sentence. And so you can see why active voice is encouraged in all business and government writing. The next unit covers the use of plain English. Plain English means writing in a way in which the reader will immediately understand the point that you are making. It takes away long and complex words that are often used unnecessarily. If there's a requirement for a complex word, say a technical term, that's still fine. And it uses a simple, more straightforward sentence construction. So writing in plain English is mandated across the whole of the Australian government, all of the states and territory governments, and in many large companies, because it saves time. It saves time in the time the reader spends reading it, and it also saves time for the writer. Plain English is the way you should be writing if you want maximum productivity. The next thing we cover in our course is tone and formality. Now you might think, tone, formality? What's all that about? Well, tone is about the emotion in the writing. Now, it might not even be emotion that you're aware of, but you might write in an angry tone. And you know what that means? What happens as a result of that? Well, it means that the reader thinks, hey, the writer's really angry here. Now, it's all about those subtleties. Very important in much real-world writing that you use a neutral tone. And that's, again, what is mandated across government. Formality is the way in which you write, the degree of formality or informality. Now, if you're employing people who have grown up using social media as part of their everyday writing, I'm sure you're aware that they'll often write in a very informal way. That makes your organisation look unprofessional, it makes your organisation look poor. So we cover what is an appropriate degree of formality in which you should be writing at work. And of course that's the key part, at work, not texting on your phone or whatever it might be. The next topic we cover is writing for different audiences. I'm a professional writer, I write books typically, but I've also written magazine articles, web articles and so on. I'm always thinking, who is the audience that I'm writing this document for? What do they need to know? What do they already know? How interested are they in this topic? How long are they going to spend reading my writing? Perhaps not very long, perhaps 30 seconds looking through it. And in that topic, we cover especially writing for internal audiences, audiences within your organisation, and writing for external audiences. And if you've got staff that are writing for one or other of those audiences and swapping back and forth, it's really important that they change their tone, change their formality, change their word choice, a whole bunch of those things if they're to be effective in addressing those different audiences. It's something very few people have thought about, and yet it's something that all professional writers keep in their minds all the time. Proofreading. It's amazing the number of people who think proofreading is simply rereading the document they've written. And they'll say to me, "Oh, I don't know why there were those mistakes in it. I read it 10 times. But they read it 10 times as if they were just reading normally. Proofreading isn't reading normally. It's a completely different reading style. And so if you're proofreading, the first thing you need to keep in mind is, hey, I'm actually proofreading now. And what's the result of that? I'm going to look at every single word individually. I'm going to say it out loud in my head. I'm going to pause where there are commas. I'm going to stop where there are full stops. I'm going to reflect when I get to the end of paragraphs and see if it actually made sense. Proofreading is a different type of reading. You're trying to find a different thing than you are when you're typically reading. You're trying to find all those little errors. And so we have a unit in the course on proofreading, a very important thing. We also have a unit on persuasive writing. Now, much of the writing we do at work is seeking to persuade our audience. It might be seeking to persuade our audience to undertake a course of action. You might be sending out instructions. But a lot of writing at work is also seeking to persuade conceptually, getting someone to agree to an idea that you're putting forward. Now, there are methodologies, there are ways of creating writing which is highly persuasive. We touched on them in this package. In our high-level package, which I'll talk about in another video, we go into it in even more detail. But it's really important that you have tools, a toolkit that will help you to write persuasively, because so much of our writing at work is persuasive. Two more aspects, two more things that we cover in this course. We cover scope. Now, what's scope? Well, if you're a junior staff member, or you can remember back to being a junior staff member, you'll know the horror of being given a task and not understanding what you were meant to do. And it's exactly the same in writing. I talk to so many staff who say, I don't even know what I'm meant to be doing. My manager said, go off and write a document on that. You know, write a discussion paper, or give me some briefing notes. And the staff member goes, yeah, okay, and they leave, perhaps because they're too frightened to ask, and they go away and they don't even know what they're meant to be doing. Now, in that circumstance, you're almost certain to be finding that the writing is no good. It doesn't meet the requirements. So in the unit that we do on scopes, we say what are the key aspects that you must know before you go away to do that piece of writing. Finally, in this program, we cover planning. Now, planning's in every writing course, and you know, I must be honest, when I first started doing writing training, I used to think planning, well, you know, isn't it all rather obvious? But that's because I was coming to it as a person who'd already been writing for a long time. For people who have not been writing for a long time, planning just seems like some sort of mystery box. You know, a box called plans. Yeah, I've done my planning. Well, what have you actually done? Well, I've planned. But what did that involve? Well, I've planned. So planning actually requires specifics. Who am I writing for? What will they need to know? What is the scope that I'm working for? How long should the document be? How long have I got to do it? What are the key points I'm going to include? How am I going to structure those points? And so on. Planning is critical, especially if you need to write fast and you don't want to do redrafts or have your staff doing redrafts. So there are the 10 topics that we cover in this course. The course is presented by Simon Brady, who's an ex-journalist. He's also a lecturer, a university lecturer. He's a wonderfully down-to-earth man. He has his feet on the ground at all times, and he's an expert in writing. So you'll find that when he is presenting on these topics, he's talking about practical things that you can start doing tomorrow. He's not talking about airy-fairy things that might look good in a book, a textbook, but aren't actually going to be applicable in the real world. So that's our 10 units of our online training program designed for staff. The client actually hosts that on their own network. There's no requirement to pay a fee for each person who looks at a video or anything like that. There's not even a timeline that elapses, so you can use it for the next 4 or 5 years. So it's a very, very cost-effective program because of that flexibility in use. And talking about flexibility, you can also do the units in any order you wish. It was actually designed so it wasn't in sequence. So if you're particularly interested in, I don't know, persuasive writing, you could do that unit first, and then you could go on to sentences or whatever. So I recommend the program to you. I think it's a very, very good program, and it's especially effective for staff members who perhaps don't have wide experience in writing or are slow to write and have to do many, many drafts. Thank you.